expect frivolous accusations from the Leader of the Opposition. Clearly, I was wrong to expect anything better from the man in the wetsuit.
What began as another Prime Minister's questions quickly became a brutal public test of authority, pressure, and survival.
Does he understand that, yes, it's because of inaction on the cost of living crisis, yes, it's because of the debacle of the winter fuel payment, yes, it's because of the 1,000 jobs being lost a month in Scotland's North Sea and the closure of Grangemouth, yes, it's because of his judgment on Matthew Doyle and Peter Mandelson, but above all else,
with Labour facing growing criticism over immigration, food prices, internal controversies, and leadership decisions, MPs from every direction seized the opportunity to pile pressure onto Starmer in one of the most chaotic PMQs sessions in recent memory.
Usually, criminals or their accomplices are the ones destroying evidence of their crimes.
But what truly changed the tone of the debate was the suggestion that this could be one of the final PMQs before a political turning point for both Starmer and his opponents. Watch closely, because several exchanges in this session may end up defining the next election cycle.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Women all over Britain, including in my constituency of Great Yarmouth, primarily on King Street, feel intimidated, harassed and abused in their own town centres. Disproportionately, this unacceptable behaviour is committed by young foreign men imported from cultures and religions that treat women like dirt on the bottom of their shoe. Will the Minister today commit to a national audit of street harassment, intimidation and sexual offending by nationality and immigration status so the British people can finally see the scale of the problem?
Sarah Sturt.
Here we go again, Mr. Speaker. I note that an investigation by a KC into the honourable member's conduct concluded that there was credible evidence that he had mistreated two female members in a way that, and I quote, Mr. Speaker, in a way that seemed to amount to harassment. I don't want to hear anything from him about violence against women and girls or harassment.
Yesterday, we heard Christian Turner, Peter Mandelson's replacement as US Ambassador, say that the only country Trump has a special relationship with is Israel, that the Prime Minister's job is in danger after next week's elections, and that in the US, Jeffrey Epstein's associates have evaded responsibility for their actions. The Prime Minister has had to fire one US ambassador for lying. Does he fear he'll now have to fire a second one for telling the truth?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, given what I've had thrown at me in the last 2 weeks by all the opposition parties, that's the least of my problems. But, Mr. Speaker, I know he likes stunts, but I was surprised he joined in the one yesterday, because his own business spokesman said last week, satisfied I had not misled the House. He, of course, his opening position was it was inconceivable that officials would give clearance to Mandelson and not tell ministers it was against the UK SV recommendation. That's what he said, and it didn't happen. I expect frivolous accusations from the Leader of the Opposition. Clearly, I was wrong to expect anything better from the man in the wetsuit.
Mr. Speaker, I've got my dry suit on today, and let me tell the Prime Minister that when Boris Johnson was faced with that motion, he didn't whip his MPs. There was a difference there. And Mr. Speaker, experts are warning that food prices will rise by 10% this year as farmers' costs soar. Trump's war has exposed how weak Britain's food security is. Yet under the system brought in by the Conservatives, England is the only country in Europe where farm payments don't actively support farmers to produce food. So will the King's Speech include a good food bill to fix that mistake and make sure people can afford the food they need?
Mr. Speaker, of course food security is important, and that's why I was considering that amongst other issues in the ministerial meetings yesterday in Cobra. That's what I was spending my afternoon doing, making sure that we were prepared and managing the risks of a conflict that will affect every single one of our constituents. What was he doing? He was wasting his time in here on a baseless allegation, engaging in party political. He should have been working on the single most important issue of the day, but he wasted his time on a baseless political stunt.
Mr. Speaker, depending upon results in the elections next week, this may well be my final PMQs. I suppose.
Come back!
I suppose, Mr. Speaker, the same is perhaps true for the Prime Minister as well. But before then, does he understand that, yes, it's because of inaction on the cost of living crisis, yes, it's because of the debacle of the winter fuel payment, yes, it's because of the 1,000 jobs being lost a month in Scotland's North Sea and the closure of Grangemouth, yes, it's because of his judgment on Matthew Doyle and Peter Mandelson, but above all else, the reason why his time in office will soon be coming to a close is because he promised change but has delivered chaos.
Mr. Speaker, I'm proud of what this Labour government has achieved, and I'm proud of what we will achieve. If it is his last session here, let's reflect on his great achievements in Westminster. He kicked out his predecessor and then lost 39 MPs at the next election. I hope he can keep up that record in Holyrood next week.
Please could the Prime Minister explain to the House, if he's done nothing wrong and process has been followed, why did he need to force his MPs to vote against an investigation? Is it because he's worried they don't believe his version of the truth?
Yes.
No, it's because they can see a baseless allegation, a political stunt when they see it. Mr. Speaker, as a former GP, here's the truth. We've recruited 82 more GPs, upgraded his medical centre. They want all the benefits, but they never want to pay for them.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Everything international law is supposed to protect is being violated. A genocide against the Palestinian people, the catastrophe in Sudan, the Gazification of Lebanon. Against this backdrop, the government last week closed the International Humanitarian Law Unit and stopped funding access to the CIR database of 26,000 human rights and conflict incidents across Israel, Palestine and Lebanon. This database underpins decisions on IHL breaches, arms export suspensions and whether the UK itself is acting within the law. Usually, criminals or their accomplices are the ones destroying evidence of their crimes. Instead, not a human rights lawyer or a government apparently committed to upholding international law. So my question is simple.
Prime Minister, sorry, you've taken far too long, Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, let me reassure the House that the work of the International Law Unit has not ended. It will simply be done by a different team under a restructure. We will, of course, continue to monitor international humanitarian law in Gaza and elsewhere and invest in conflict prevention and resolution.
Point of order, John MacDonald.
Mr. Speaker, as you know, as Secretary of the NEJ Parliamentary Group, I raised earlier this week a point of order concerning the US agency APCO's role in undertaking an investigation of journalists for Labour Together, which resulted in the smearing of those journalists. I explained that as a result of concern about the reach of APCO's investigation, a number of honourable members had submitted subject interest requests to the company and to Labour Together. There's been a delay in the response from Labour Together to these requests, but APCO has confirmed in a very redacted form that information on MPs was being collected. And I referred this week to information from a whistleblower, a freelancer involved in the Labour Together inquiry, indicating that APCO had instructed this person to destroy files and material related to the inquiry. Only hours ago on the Financial Times online, We have confirmed that tapes do exist that include conversations by APCO's head of media relations for Europe, Tom Harper, discussing the deletion of an email account and saying, and I quote, whether they will be able to see that through digital forensics or something like that, references with regard to this inquiry. He also refers to processes to muddy the waters in the audit trail. There is also now, I can report, if I can, Mr. Speaker, I'm sorry for the delay, I can also report that evidence was submitted to the inquiry by Sir Laurie Magnus's, the Prime Minister's ethics advisor, by Paul Holden, one of the journalists who are victims of the smears, but the evidence was not supplied by the Cabinet Office to the Secretariat to the inquiry to Laurie Magnus. On behalf of the NUJ Parliamentary Group, I want to express our concern, but also it is important from the NUJ Parliamentary Group, we are concerned about the smearing of journalists, but we also need to know what, if any, surveillance of honorary members was taking place and for what purposes, and we call again for an independent inquiry into APCO's role and Labour Together's role in this issue.
Can I say it is a very, very serious allegation that I do take seriously. Members of Parliament are here to carry out their duties, and what is being alleged is very serious. I do believe it needs to be investigated thoroughly. From my point of view, I would expect, as the honourable gentleman's been here a long time, no doubt he will use the table office as part of the avenues to pursue what he's said. There may be other ways, and there may be serious security implications to this House as well, that I will also take up in other avenues. Thank you for that.
Tensions explode during a dramatic PMQs session as Keir Starmer faces relentless attacks over Labour leadership, immigration, rising food prices, foreign policy, and election fears. MPs clash in one of the most heated debates in Parliament this year,